I think I see a quarterback that's not really trusting what he sees. I think that I have no issues with the concepts. I have no issues with the receivers or anything like that. I think Jalen Hurts can become a little bit of a one and done read guy right now.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday, presented, of course, as always, by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams over the course of 7 years. Most of you guys know that. Washington, Dallas, Buffalo, New England, Cleveland, 2001 to 2008. Now I get a chance to call games on television for CBS, on radio for Westwood One. I will be in the booth on Saturday for the Texans at the Chiefs with Kevin Harlan Saturday afternoon. So if you guys are driving around or whatever on Saturday afternoon, or if you just would rather hear us than the guys doing the TV broadcast, which is fine too, that game streams a lot of different places, including WestwoodOneSports.com. Very much looking forward to that game. Anytime I get a chance to do a game with Kevin Harlan, it is very, very cool. We're in the middle of the week, which means we're only 2 days away from 2 huge things. Number one, winners. I love giving away winners. I love sending you guys these signed press passes with my face on it, and it says the specific game that I called using that press pass. It's pretty cool. And you can win it just by spreading the word via social media. So at Ross Tucker Pod is probably the best way, or at Ross Tucker NFL. You just go ahead and engage in any way, especially if you comment, especially if you reply or like on X, a quote post. Those are huge. Then the sponsor confirmation email winner, you guys know I love me some westshorehome.com/Ross or the code Ross on the Game Time app or the DraftKings app. Just make sure when you use it, you send it to me, Ross at RossTucker.com. And then the YouTube shout out's cool. All you have to do is go to youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL and subscribe and then make a comment. And I do a video for you, which I love as well. The wisdom today comes from my guy, Nate Tice. I think the last time he joined us was maybe February or March. It was definitely pre-draft because I remember he was a big Drake May guy. But I'm a big fan of Nate Tice, former coach, former player. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
He is back and hopefully better than ever. My guy, Nate Tice, former Wisconsin, quarterback and tight end?
Yeah, holder. Signal giver.
He's the guy that works for Yahoo Sports. And I see you on NFL Network, man. That's a cool gig. What are you doing for them?
Yeah, they bring me in. They trot me out there like Hannibal Lecter with the mask on, and they give me about 10 minutes to break down some film. And it's been a lot of fun, actually. So, yeah, just trying to explain different cadences to the Good Morning Football audience is kind of a lot of fun to get them closer to 101, 201 level football. So that's been a great time.
It. Yeah, I was watching the other day and I saw you on there. I was like, oh, that's sweet. It's Nate. Love it.
It's me.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, I think the best way to describe Nate would be, it's funny, Nate, on some level, you're like a young Greg Cosell, who the NFL Films legend. Now, Greg never played a down of football in his life, but he's worked in NFL Films for 45 years, and he's done the NFL matchup show. But Nate takes the time to watch the tape. And I say that because not a lot of people do. I mean, I watch the tape of the teams I'm doing for the game that week, but I don't go through and watch all the other teams. How do you, by the way, that's probably a good question, Nate, and you should check him out on social media at Nate_Tice. How much do you watch a week, Nate, and how do you determine what to watch? Typically.
Sometimes I have, whatever the big game was. All right. So if there's some Sunday night game, all right, that's the first thing I'm checking in. Sometimes it's a rookie quarterback I want to check out. Sometimes I got a little hipster in me. I see everybody else talking about that one game. I'm going to watch like Cardinals Chargers. Like I'm gonna watch like some obscure game just to focus on stuff, but really it just grabs my interest. I think just being around the game and everything, I thank you for the Cassell comparison. I'm actually honored to get that comparison because of how much he's grinded throughout the years and all that. But really it's just it's being diligent. I mean, you knew as a player, like you can't you have your physical and mental tasks that you can't really take a day off. And for me in this business, this is my angle to have a job. And so I like watching film. It's something I've been doing since I was 15. And I just like finding threads to pull at. So really, that's really it is. It's more like a research. It's really just an interest. It might be a rookie. It might be a player. It might be, hey, I'm watching the Rams run duo a whole bunch of times. How are they getting to that? And that leads into me diving into stats and all that. But it's just being consistent with it and just whatever grabs your interest. And kind of the more you get interested in something, the more it becomes interesting as you do it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of film studying. Because sometimes I just let it wash over me and just go, what? That looked weird. Why did that look weird? Okay. And then I start poking at that. But it's just something I do, and it's a lot of fun that I actually get paid to do it now.
So I think you guys probably remember from last year when Nate was on, or maybe just the offseason, maybe not quote-unquote last year, but played football at Wisconsin. Did you go somewhere else then, too? I forget.
No, I was UCF then Wisconsin, and then
That's right, UCF then
GA Pitt under Paul Christ, and then scouted for the Falcons, coached for the Raiders, and then got into media.
Yeah,
a few years after
scouted.
that.
So what's cool is you're like the ideal background for the job you have now, in that it's like all the Princeton guys all get into finance and they do like a 2-year or 3-year training program where they go to different aspects of the bank, and then they eventually, you kind of did the football media training program, play, coach, GA, college, NFL, scout,
staff.
like you did the stops at all these places so that you were ready to roll. It's funny, most of you probably see Nate on the For You tab on X, because he'll find something cool on video and then he'll post it and everybody will be like, oh, that's awesome. Like whether it's a block or an effort by a guy or whatever it might be. I want to dive into these games with you.
Yeah.
And let's start with the game I'll be in the booth for on the radio side. It's the Texans, it's the Chiefs, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think it'll be the ESPN guys on TV. It'll be myself and Kevin Harlan on radio. I have not dug that deep into the video yet. Interestingly, I did the Chiefs' last game where they actually played on Christmas against the Steelers. And then I did the Texans several times this year, including week 18. So I got a pretty good feel for both. And I'm curious, kind of what jumps out to you? What are you going to be looking for, Nate, with the Chiefs and the Texans?
Well, first off, how did the Chiefs block that Texans pass rush? I think pass rush and blocking, which I know I'm preaching to the choir here, is the great equalizer in playoff football. It's the old adages come true in the playoffs: running the ball, blocking the pass rushers, getting after the quarterback. Like those things hold up in playoff football. And the Chiefs offensive line, their insert left tackle here until they got to Joe Tooney and moving him out there, that has not been a true strength or something that they can truly rely on passing wise. But having said all that, they can run the ball. And it's not the craziest, prettiest running game you've ever seen. Like, they're not explosive. I think they're the least explosive run offense in the NFL, but they're brutally efficient. And against this Texans team, that was the issue the Chargers ran into. They can run the ball. And when you can't run the ball, it's a lot of 3rd and 10s. It's a lot of 3rd and 9s. It's a lot of 3rd and 12s. And then you got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter teeing off on you. You got tight man coverage across the board. You have to win in 2 seconds. So that's what the Texans are going to dare you to do on either your offensive line has to win one-on-ones and your pass catchers have to win one-on-ones. So that's what I'm watching for. So it's passing downs, I guess would be the best way to put this, is how do the Chiefs handles the passing downs?
Well, and I've been saying it, I said it, right? The Texans are elite at edge rusher and at corner, and they got a healthy Danico Autry back against the Chargers. He ate up Salyer, the right guard for the Chargers. Just giving them that inside guy that can win against one-on-one if you're going to be sliding and chipping against the edge guys. But they've got some elite players. I'm really curious Andy Reid's not giving it away yet, Nate. What he's going to do at left tackle. He said Caliendo and Tooney at left tackle did a nice job, but Humphries did a nice job when he played against Denver. So they're not giving it away yet what they're going to do at left tackle. I guess I kind of think they're going to stick with what they had the last couple games with Caliendo at left guard and Tooney at left tackle and not put Humphries back out there. And Tooney is a battler, and he does a nice job, but he also, you can tell he's not really an NFL starting left tackle. He's getting by on guts and technique, and
hand
but he
placement.
doesn't have that length or the movement skills. So that there's a chance. And then on the right side, Taylor's not great either. The Texans have to dominate that matchup.
Yes. And that's why for the Chiefs to take control is the Texans' run defense is efficiency-wise, they're solid, but you can get explosive runs on them, which makes a lot of sense. What you just brought up to Nico Autry, they don't have a lot of size and girth. They're all about upfield, speed. You watch how the Ravens got after them. All right, let's run trap 10 times. Let's let these guys get upfield and just kick them out. And the Chiefs run a little bit of every type of run. You got Andy Reid and Andy Heck with a bye week. That makes me think that they'll have some runs that can maybe get after it, but that's what you have to do. If you're not able to do it, you're just playing to their hands. And the thing is, too, I agree with you. I think they go with Tooney because if you break down the Texans, it's, well, you got to worry about their edge rushers. All right, well, I'm going to make sure my left tackle spot's at least competent as opposed to does Mahomes. You never see this until this year. Is Mahomes actually peaking to make sure that the left tackle is blocking their guy? And I think, too, is that if you do have Tooney out there, you don't have to provide as much chip help. The Chiefs don't want to provide chip help. That is, they want all five guys out as much as possible. I mean, no offense wants to provide chip help, but especially not the Chiefs. And so that makes me think, too, that then they can trust Tooney a little bit more and not give him chip help so we can get to scat, five-man protection. We can get the running back out there so we can have Mahomes get more options there. So, again, just kind of what we're speaking to. I think I'm curious what the run designs will be because they run a little bit of everything. That's one way to get after this Texans defense. But really, yeah, what the blocking plan is. Get ready for a lot of sprint outs, too. Andy Reid loves sprint outs against when he doesn't think his offensive line is up to snuff. He loves doing sprint outs just to wad things up. So look out for that, too.
Ooh, good call there.
Yeah.
And it might have even been you, Nate, where I saw, or maybe when I was watching the game, but the Ravens trapped and whammed the Texans to death in that game on Christmas. And Will Anderson even said to me, it's not a physicality thing, it's an awareness thing. We're trying to fly up the field. We got to be a little bit more aware of some of these traps and whams. What about when the Texans have the ball on the other side? Anything jump out to you?
I mean, we saw a pristine game plan from the Texans, at least of what they have to do to win. This was the best their run game has looked in weeks. Months maybe. Outside, really, when you looked outside of the two games they played against the Colts this year, that was probably their best. That was the most explosive runs they had this entire year, gains of 12 yards or more. So that they have to be able to run the ball. The thing is, the Chiefs' run defense is actually very good this year. It's different than a typical Spags defense, which was, it used to be you played against Spags, you get into big bodies and you pound the rock. That was kind of, don't let him get into his funkiness and then just keep running it. Now you can't really do that as well, and that's not the Texans' strength. They had the worst run offense in the NFL this year as far as efficiency-wise. Was last week a mirage and just a game plan and catching them right, or is that something that they now can do in the playoffs? I'm going to guess it was a mirage. So to me, that speaks to a lot of, or what that's going to lead to, it's kind of the same discussion on the other side. It's going to lead to a lot of third and longs for Stroud to deal with, which is something he's done every single week this season. And then it puts it on the offensive line and the pass protection to pick up Steve Spagnuolo's blitzes. And that leaves me a little worried because I thought the Texans offensive line, they've invested a lot in it. I just thought they've made a lot of mental mistakes this year. Their pass protection plans, Laramie Tunsil, I thought took a step back this year. His eyes were every which way. I thought the running backs and the tight ends, even Dalton Schultz, weren't going to the right guys. So it wasn't just like a guy losing one-on-one, which, as you know, happens in the NFL. But when you're just not even going the right way, that scares me a ton. Jesse Minter's not going to bring a ton of craziness, but Steve Spagnuolo is. So again, I think this leads into a CJ Stroud has to be a hero, throwing to Nico Collins a bunch of times and probably scramble again, something that he doesn't want to do, but he's doing it a little bit. He did it last week, but be more aggressive, be more of a creator.
Lions Commanders Saturday night. It's on Fox. What are you looking at there, Nate?
I'm getting ready for. I'll start with the Commanders' offense, Lions defense, because Lions defense with all the injuries they had, I think mentally I was like, oh, they took a step back. They took a step back. And then I'm watching them just keep put up good performances, and I look at the stats, and they're actually like holding up in all the metrics I look at. They have the best pass rush in terms of pressure rate since they traded for Zadarius Smith in the NFL. And I didn't know that until I looked this up. they're number one in pass rush when they bring four guys. Going against this Commanders offensive line. Okay, there's spots there that you can attack them. They want to get the ball out quick. The Lions also like to play a ton of man coverage. All right, you got Terry McLaurin. All right, are the Lions going to lean into that still, going against a better receiver? They have so far this year. It's really just more of like who blinks first type of game on that side of the ball. And then the other side, Lions offense, I think, should have their way against the Commanders defense. I really do think. I mean, they have their way against a lot. The Commanders defense does play hard. It's not a good defense, even if they played a lot better in the second half of the year against the pass. Against the run, they're not very good against under center runs. They're not very good against downhill runs. What do the Lions like to do more than anybody is get under center and run down your throat. So I think the Lions offense has a clear two-tier advantage. While I think the other side of the ball, the Commanders offense being very efficient down to down, it's going to pull out on Jaden Daniels to make plays with his legs and be hyper efficient play after play.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with him, especially late in games. He doesn't blink at all. The calm and the poise late in games. Some guys really have that, and some guys don't. That's not when they're at their best. It feels to me like if the Commanders win that one, it's like 38-35, and he just goes crazy.
Right, and there's some wonky pick six, and like something goes, it just becomes a wide open game. And once that game gets wide open, Jane Daniels turns into a new player, like not in a good way if you're defending him. Just a totally different animal to try and defend.
All right, let's get to the Sunday games. The first game, it's the LA Rams against the Philadelphia Eagles. And interestingly, they've played in the regular season the last 2 years, Nate, and I've watched every snap of those games. And it's so strange because the Rams have a pretty good line, especially defensive line, young guys. But in the two games against the Eagles the last 2 years, they've just gotten beat up front. I mean, the Eagles have both games have been LA, and the Eagles up front, both sides of the ball, have like embarrassed the Rams. That trend usually continues, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of got sparked, and this is what's fun is now being with NFL, and I get access to next gen stats. I get access to True Media, so I go down a lot of wormholes and rabbit holes when I start studying these things. Sometimes not in a good way because it just wastes a lot of time. But anyways, I was watching the Vikings-Rams game this morning, and I noticed with the Vikings who were having the most success, probably the only consistent success they had the whole day was outside runs. A lot of toss zone plays. I think people in that offense call it zebra concept or Zorro concept. So a lot of those over and over. And then, so maybe look, because all the inside runs were just getting stonewalled. And the Vikings weren't good running between the tackles anyways, but it just kind of stood out to me. And sure enough, I looked at inside runs, outside runs for the Rams defense. And this is an end-all be-all, different concepts, change it all that. But inside runs, they're like a top 12 defense. Outside runs, they're a bottom 5 defense. They're 31st in success rate allowed on outside runs. They're 13th in success rate allowed on inside runs. Why I'm saying that is you got Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Saquon Barkley, who still runs a 4-4, going against lighter defensive ends, outside linebackers, and Byron Young and Jared Verse, who are both good players, but are lighter bodies. They like to slant and get DBs involved to try and create TFLs. Going against this Eagles offensive line that can really just steamroll that. It makes me concerned until they get to passing downs. But even then, it's a lot of the stuff the Rams do, like what they did to manipulate the Vikings offense. The Eagles have natural answers to beat that. So I feel like, I think this game is going to be really, really interesting, but I do think that the Eagles offense has a lot of natural answers because their offensive line is really, really good.
Yeah, and the thing I tell people too is like there's other offensive lines that are good. All 5 of those guys are legit freaks, right?
Yes.
Like Mailata's 6'8", 375, moves so well. Dickerson probably weighs 355.
Yeah.
And moves very well. Cam Jurgens is a different kind of freak, you know what I mean, in terms of how athletic he is. But then Becton is probably 6'7.5", 345. Lane's 330. But like those are guys where you're like, holy crap, I played the same position as those guys. You know what I mean? Like you see him and you're like, wow, maybe center. Maybe I can play center. But I'm not nearly as athletic as Kelsey or Jurgens. It's a tough line to get PT on.
It is. It's. I know. Watching Becton at right guard is hilarious. You know, they do the turn head silent count where the guard looks and it's like, I've never seen a guard slap the center harder than Becton slaps Jurgens. He whacks him, and I'm always like, dang, man, like chill, like just. But watch that when you watch them. Like watch how hard Becton hits Jurgens when they do. Oh, they won't. They're home, so you won't see it this game. But when they go silent count, it's always really funny to look at. But I think that side of the ball, the Eagles have an advantage. Even I like the Rams defense, but I mean, we got to see how consistent the Eagles pass game could be, because that's the one hiccup with them. I trust their defense. I trust their run game. It's just a consistent passing game.
And what do you see when you watch that?
I think I see a quarterback that's not really trusting what he sees. I think that I have no issues with the concepts. I have no issues with the receivers or anything like that. I think Jalen Hurts can become a little bit of a one and done read guy right now. One's not open, or I'm looking to create. And even as a runner, he's just not decisive right now. Like I'm not seeing him throw things open. I'm not seeing everything's a half second late, and then he throws, and the guy gets completed. The ball gets completed. I think there's just not a lot of like trust in what he is seeing right now. But I don't think that's a scheme thing. I think that's just a Hurts comfort thing, which is something I've seen this entire year and really last year too. So it's two different offenses I'm seeing in. His pressure still gets him his issues. He doesn't face a lot of pressure, but I just really do think it's just he is just not confident in how he wants to throw the ball, which is hard to say about a starting quarterback in the playoffs and how you feel about a passing game.
Let's get to the Ravens and the Bills. It's a big one. Start wherever you want.
Wow. This is two awesome quarterbacks. I'll start with, the Ravens offense and the Bills defense. I mean, the Ravens offense, top 5 any way you shake it. Explosive, running the ball. They can get under center. They can get fullback looks. And I think that's not great for the Bills that want to be in nickel every single snap. Going again, I mean, we saw it the first time these two teams played. The Bills have their linebackers back, which, including Matt Milano, which is huge. I also thought the Bills, something with Sean McDermott. I know Bobby Babbage. Do you know Bob Babbage at all, by the way? Okay, I did too. So I know Bob Babbage. I've met Bobby over the years, but Bobby Babbage, they're running more cover 2, which I think is interesting. Lamar's been the best quarterback against cover 2 this year. But then also is, with all that speed at linebackers and everything, their third down looks can be very game plan heavy, meaning like it changes a lot week to week, I thought, on passing downs. And what they do against scrambling quarterbacks, they did it last week against Bo Nix, is they'll do the odd mirror stuff where they rush 3 and then they have 2 linebackers being spies, depending on how the coverage is. I want to see if they throw that in against Lamar, because I've been waiting for more NFL teams to use this. The Bills have already sprinkled that in. So again, getting the passing downs, I think that's going to be really interesting, because offenses have been able to get after this Bills team. Look at the first drive for the Broncos. You can hit them deep, but the thing is, do they have answers if Lamar gets into creation mode? If you play man coverage, they don't have Zay Flowers, or Zay Flowers is hurt. All right, Rashad Bateman and the tight ends, are going to be able to win those one-on-ones? I'm just really curious of what kind of wrinkles the Bills defense throws in there in passing downs. And the other side is just, Josh Allen versus one of the best defenses in the league, like strap in. And the Bills offensive line you got one of the best run games versus one of the best run defenses. Well, you got Josh Allen versus one of the defenses that's played the best in the last 6 weeks against the pass. Like really fun matchup on that side of the ball.
It is going to be awesome. Check him out on social media at Nate_Tice, doing a lot of stuff for Yahoo Sports. And he's on Good Morning Football with my guys Kyle and Jamie and Shrags and everybody. Yes. Thank you so much, Nate, for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, as always, Ross.
So many incredible games this weekend. In fact, I just got a text from a buddy of mine who lives in Connecticut. He's taking his son to the Eagles game. They got awesome tickets. I'm so excited for them. Guess where they got them? The Game Time app, of course, because that's what I recommended. I don't know. He might have been asking if I could get him free tickets, but I don't know. I told him Game Time app, and I said, use the code Ross. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I told him it was the best way to go about it. He loved the seat views. He's in section 108, Jack, of the link. I mean, he's in a nice section. He's going to have an awesome, awesome day with his son. Use the code Ross on the Game Time app. All right, so before we get started, you need to know that playoff season's here. And the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Football Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into food ball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums food ball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid ingestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites, featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok. I've been telling you guys all year that Smirnoff is an official sponsor of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. And you already know, because I've been saying it, that they're an official vodka partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59. Here's the deal with Smirnoff, right? It's the world's #1 vodka, but it's not crazy expensive like some of these other vodkas. And so many good mixed drinks that you can use with vodka. Right now, they've partnered with Complex, letting fans get their hands on some amazing items, handpicked by celebrities. You can get it for $12.99, some of these things, just like a bottle of Smirnoff. That is awesome. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Pricing is at sole discretion of the retailer and may vary by state. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, the Texans, they cut wide receiver Deontay Johnson. They're putting tight end Cade Stover on IR.
Totally forgot to mention, by the way, that Nate was presented by Labatt Blue Light. Drink some Labatt Blue Lights this weekend with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. By the way, stay tuned because there might be a virtual happy hour Friday night. I will keep you guys posted. Deontay Johnson, I mean, this guy he's something special. He really does not care about his career at all. He has totally blown it with the way he's acted this year. Just brutal. Cade Stover on IR is tough because he was #2 tight end for the Texans. The only other news item I would say, Jack, is just the Browns promoting Tommy Rees to offensive coordinator. Kind of thought that would happen. I like that move. Tommy was the OC in Bama when I did a game of theirs last year. I think we're done here. But before we're done, I want to make sure you guys are checking out football's funniest family duo. NFL Super Bowl champs Jason and Travis Kelce, my guys, are teaming up to provide next-level access to life inside the league in their hit show, New Heights. They got stories from a combined 21 years in the league, off-field shenanigans, can't miss A-list interviews. This week it was Will Ferrell. Listen and watch New Heights wherever you get your podcast. But if you want to skip the ads, catch new episodes early, and unlock access to exclusive episodes of the show, join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Now I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. How awesome is it to not only get someone special in your life, your significant other, the best Valentine's Day gift of all time, but also to know without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to get a signed autograph from me? I guarantee you're a guaranteed winner if you get a story for a loved one at myfrontpagestory.com. Why don't you knock it out right now for Valentine's Day? BackOfficeScheduler.com, HumanHeadNYC.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.